Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the take for this Tuesday morning. I got to tell you something. We talk about it every single day. How about yesterday? And the fact that we haven't been in that dislocation mode in a while, where we've got the NASDAQ going up and the Dow going down or vice versa, they have been moving in concert. They absolutely did that yesterday. The Dow on another explosive move to the upside. And it just was an acceleration all the way into the close. Dow finished up a little over 1%, 1.2%, call it 400 plus points to the upside. That was impressive. But how about the impressive side of the NASDAQ? Not only was it up over 400 plus points, because it's a smaller number that we're talking about here, about a 3.5% move to the upside from the NASDAQ yesterday. That is a massive move for anybody out there who's newer to the business. That is absolutely incredible. And we've been seeing moves that are 1% and 2% and 3%, yesterday being 3.5% for the NASDAQ on a daily basis. It's been absolutely amazing to watch. We had 40 million contracts yesterday, so we weren't quite as huge as we were on a few of those trading sessions in the last recent week or two, but still back over that 40 million mark. That's a big number, and that was impressive as well. So you've got crude holding right around that $88 level. You also look over at the 10-year, which has been kind of planted for a little while. Yes, it had a big move to the upside, and then we've been kind of sitting there, call it between 175 and 180. And that's kind of where we find ourselves. At least yesterday we did, and today we're still seeing in that same sort of a range. If you look, and this is something I hadn't looked at in a while, if you look at what happened with the volatility index this year, it's been absolutely crazy. And I say that for this year because I'm saying year to date, January itself, the monstrous move we have made from those teens, and if you go all the way to those highs at 38, so 16 to 38, and then you pull back a little bit, and here we are in the 20s, it's just a massive move to the upside. And here we are yesterday, we finished right around that 25 level, and we had a great little thing last night with Market Rebellion. It was fantastic, and we talked a lot about those volumes. We talked a lot about what's going on with the volatility and, of course, the velocity of these moves. The triple V, that's exactly what we have been in for the month of January. We're kicking off February in a pretty interesting way as well. We're not quite ready to jump onto that, though. So yesterday, some of the movers that were absolutely shifting things around, you look at something like Netflix, that has been on an absolute tear to the upside. It got smashed after earnings. It went a little bit lower with the rest of the markets, but then started to big move to the upside, recapturing 400, going in through there. We've had a lot of option activity in there as well, signaling a lot of bulls kind of stepping into the marketplace for Netflix. Tesla, kind of the same story. And Tesla has been what I've used as a barometer for the markets. It just seems like on the days where Tesla has a really great day, markets, especially the NASDAQ, has a great day. And obviously, the opposite happens as well. When we go to the downside with Tesla, we're seeing the markets getting dragged, it seems like, to the downside. So I've just been using Tesla a lot of late, at least in January of this year, just watching how that's been moving and affecting what seems to be affecting at least the rest of the markets. NVIDIA, I take a look over at Microchip, I look at AMD, I look at Xilinx. All of those yesterday were up about 7% or more on the day. So gives you a little bit of an idea of the monstrous day we had for the semiconductors just yesterday. And we look over at technology, it was up about 1.5% early on. It finished the day at about 2.7% to the upside. That acceleration move that we had seen from the markets really was something, and it really was remarkable. There was one little bit of a blip within there, but overall it was absolutely just a rocket ship to the upside. Chinese names participating yesterday. Boeing with a very nice big bounce on some new sales that they had as well, up about 5% and recapturing that $200 level as well. Goldman Sachs, which has been beat up pretty good since earnings, that was up a couple of percent. Then you add in the big cap tech, Apple, Salesforce, Intel, all of those kind of names really having a great day. Actually, the names that were under a little bit of pressure, some of those more conservative names, the Pfizers, the Kellogg's, those are the kind of names. You look over at CVS, Walgreens Boots, those names are the ones that are getting pushed to the downside a little bit. Energy, as great as it's been, there are some days where it just kind of pulls back a little bit. We had some of those beta energy names just yesterday that were in that pulling back mode. So this morning, start the day kind of quiet. Things are up just a little bit, started to move up just a little bit more as we got into the open. We started a nice little ship. Yeah, the S&P up about 8 or 10 or something like that. And then next thing you know, we have had an absolute bumpy ride after that first maybe 25, 30 minutes of the day. And coming into this, the next 30 minutes, boy, what a ride we've had. NASDAQ flipped around from being up 50 or thereabouts, went to flat and then down about 60 points. We have been all over the map. Expect bumpiness. That's what the kind of volatility is that we're looking at. It doesn't have to be in the 30s. We are right now in the 24, 25 range for the volatility index. But I'll tell you what, that is a much different ride than what you oftentimes will see when you're seeing that volatility index trading in those teens, 15, 16, 17. This is a lot different. So once you're over those 20s, now if we start to pull back a little bit closer to that 20 level, 2022, that gets a little bit more comfortable for people. But I will tell you, it's a lot more difficult, I think, and I've been told over the years there are some facts to back that up, that in between 20 and 25 is a very difficult zone to be in. So we'll see how this plays out and if we're going to pop right back up again, if we start to see some selling pressure, or if we just continue this little bit of a pullback that we've had of late. And it's been just very recent. These moves have been extraordinary. I look at the industrials. They started off pretty good. They were pulling back. I look at materials. Started off pretty good, up about 1%. They pulled back just barely into the green. You look at the financials, up about 0.5%, then they moved to flat. That's kind of the market that we are in today. Energy is the one area that absolutely has had a really nice explosive move to the upside today. And we're seeing energy up over 2%. Oh, and new highs. Now, the interesting thing is how everybody suddenly became an energy bull in the 80s. It's just fascinating. And, you know, the fact that we hear a lot of this, and I just continue to hear it, which is what the parts that's amazing. Well, you know, oil, energy, it's uninvestable. I totally disagree with that. And I don't know if you've been listening to me for over a year or more on the take, you understand. We've had the options that have been leading us there. This isn't just opinion. There is fact when there is the buying that we have seen in the options on top of what we've seen within the stocks themselves and this move and the price of oil and that move up. It has been there, and it has been there in a big way each and every day, week. And obviously all you've got to do is track back the last, call it 14 months or so. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So what was strong? Earnings. We're still in earnings season. We're just kind of kicking it off, as a matter of fact. UPS, those numbers look great. Stock up in a big way. Very, very impressive move to the upside. They crushed it. Nucor looking pretty solid today. Freeport Mac, it's been beat up a little bit. We did have some buying yesterday. And what do you know? Today, up about 3%, at least early on. We'll see if it holds on to those gains. We know how volatile things are. I look over at the cruise ships having a pretty decent day. Airlines having a pretty decent day. I look at Visa, pretty strong. What's not doing very well today are names like Discovery. And I'm telling you, you look over at some of the semiconductors like a Skyworks, a little bit of pressure there. Then you look at KLAC, you look at Marvell, you look at Micron, you look at Lam Research, you look at NXPI. Little bit of pulling back that comes after a monster move yesterday, though. So let's keep that all in mind. So I got my two unusuals for you. I'm going to start off with silica, U.S. Silica. That's SLCA. Now, this one is interesting for me because this does feed into the oil and gas world, like we were just talking about, and it feeds right into that as well as the industrial space. Trading around 971 at the time. We had a buyer of 3,000 of the March 10 calls. They're about 95 cents. They're not only buying those March 10 calls, there is some selling, not exactly the same numbers, but is some selling that we were seeing also in the 9 puts. I just mentioned that because that shows you the bullishness that we are seeing, at least in the option paper right now, for that name. So that's one that it definitely was intriguing. Wanted to point that one out. Next, AT&T. This is a name that has been coming down, 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 and we are now approaching those lows. And if you take a look at the 52-week chart, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It was trading right in the 24s, 24, 25, somewhere in that range. It is right pushing down towards that 24 level. We had a buyer of 20,000 of the June 22 puts. Those are going for about 85 cents. So expecting it not only to hit those lows, but to continue on even further down the pike with June, which is something we don't see very often right now here as we're getting into February, but they're going all the way out to June. The interesting part about that is they're rolling from some of those March 24 puts that had been bought. They're not rolling all of them, but they're taking a nice chunk, taking a little bit of money off the table, and pushing that out into June as well. So that really is something that does stand out for us as well. Those, as I said, 20,000 of those for about 85 cents. Folks, hopefully you understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about some of these derivatives worlds. If you don't, we've got great educators here at Market Rebellion. They do a fantastic job. Obviously, you've got books and all the rest of it. You've got the internet, so it gives you a chance, but you do want to have that knowledge. Folks, have a great day of trading. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and tomorrow I'll see you on the halftime report as well.